Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thanks, as always, for joining me on another cooking video. It is a Thursday. We've almost made it through the week, which is fantastic. Looking forward to the weekend. No real plans, but hey, that's almost some of the best weekends, right? Just sitting here with Luna, enjoying a Thursday. I think it feels like Friday, so hey, cheers. So let's get right to it. What are we going to make today? So I was thinking about it this afternoon. It's kind of funny in my family because I'm really the only one who really likes this recipe, but that's all right. Sometimes you got to make things for yourself. I'm going to make a classic meatloaf with a spin, my own spin. I think it's pretty tasty. Who can go wrong with a meatloaf? It's great the day you eat it. The next day you make sandwiches. What's wrong with that? Perfect. So I think you guys are really going to like this recipe. Very tasty. So I'm going to show you what we're working with there. And we've got some really fun videos coming up. So as everybody knows, the Super Bowl is a week from Sunday. So who doesn't? I love the Super Bowl. Get some friends together. We're going to have a party, good food. So I've got a couple really good game day appetizers that I'm going to share with you guys that I think you're really going to like. So stay tuned for those. And as always, thank you for joining me here. I'm really having a ball making these videos. It's so much fun. Such a creative outlet, and get to show off my beautiful little friend here. She's become part of the channel co-star. So just wanted to thank you guys for your feedback, the comments. Always appreciate if you guys have some ideas or comments and you sharing. That's great. So with that, when I bring you guys back, I'll show you what we are working with. And we are back. Okay, star of today's show for the meatloaf. You can see on the center stage there, we've got our ground beef, and I like to use a mix of ground beef and ground pork. So we've got about a little bit over a half pound of each there, so those are going to get mixed together. Far left, we've got some onions, garlic, we've got, of course, breadcrumbs, one egg, some milk back there, ketchup. Ketchup's going to go in the meatloaf and also in the glaze. It's going to go on the top. We got some Worcestershire sauce and some herbs de Provence. You guys have heard me before that I really like the herbs de Provence with beef. I think it works really well, and so that's good. Some Italian parsley. Some people like to use the dried parsley in the meatloaf. I like to use the fresh. I think it works pretty well. So pepper and salt, of course. For the glaze, lower right here, we've got the apple cider vinegar, and of course we're gonna have a little bit more ketchup in that. Some brown sugar. And then my little touch in there is I like to use Tabasco. I like things a little bit spicy, so I think that's a nice touch, and it works really well. When we come back, I'm going to show you how to mix all this together, and then we're going to pop that in the oven, and it's going to be wonderful. So, welcome back. As you can see, we've got our ground beef and ground pork in the bowl, ready to start mixing. Remember, this is a very hands-on experience. And so you got to be very cognizant that this is raw meat. So we want to get all of our ingredients in there before we start getting in there and mixing it all together. So let's get that started. First, we've got our parsley there. So we'll get that in there like that. We've got our breadcrumbs, about a cup of breadcrumbs. So let's get those in there. Looks good. We've got about half a cup of milk. Put that in there. Our very thin, nicely diced onion, white onion. Good. We've got some minced garlic there. I'm going to go in. Got our egg right into the pot. And then let's start. Got some ketchup. Want to end up with about 2 tablespoons. That looks about like 2 tablespoons to me. Looks good. We've got our Worcestershire sauce. How much? About that much. We've got our pepper. Put that in there. We're going to go some salt next, but remember too that these are Italian spiced breadcrumbs, so they're going to already have some salt in there. So just go easy on it. You can always add more later. So a little bit like that should be good. Herbs from Provence. So let's get that in there. How much? About that much. Okay, so now we're going to mix this up. Let me roll up my sleeves a little bit. Do not want to get that on there. So Okay, and just get in there, and it's just kind of a thing. So you just gotta make sure everything is very well incorporated in that meatloaf, because if you don't, then it's gonna have a tendency to fall apart on you. So I don't know how pleasing that is on the video. So I think you guys get the idea. So I'm gonna continue mixing that all together, and I'll show you what it looks like in the pot once that's all done. So as you can see, we've got our meatloaf in the baking dish there, so that's good to go. Now we want to make that glaze, which is going to go right over the top of that. So let's start out. We need about a 1/4 cup of ketchup. So it's guesstimate. I think that's about right. Looks good to me. We need about a tablespoon or so of this. I like to use apple cider vinegar. Really, it's up to you what type of vinegar you like, but most barbecue sauces generally have like an apple cider vinegar. It has a really nice flavor, so that's what I like to use when vinegar is called for, and that looks about right. We've got about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to get some Tabasco in there. About that much. Now, let's mix this all together. Got all incorporated together. And with that sugar and the brown sugar, basically what you're making here is essentially kind of like a barbecue sauce. It's all those, if you look at the back of a barbecue sauce bottle, this is basically everything that is in there. So should make for a nice glaze on the top of there. And I've got the oven preheated to about 350. So that's getting ready to go. And let's put this over the top here. Just layer that over the top. That looks really nice. That's going to make for a really nice glaze on there. Okay, make sure we get all that goodness out of there. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bake that uncovered for about an hour or so, and that should make sure everything gets cooked really well. Of course, you're going to have a little bit of the fat and stuff as it's done, so we'll get that all out of there before I show you what we ended up with, but I can guarantee you what we ended up with is going to be extremely tasty. So when we come back, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so as you can see, that is what we ended up with. Looks beautiful, smells amazing. You can see that glaze kind of caramelized on the top there. I sprinkled some fresh Italian parsley on the top. It looks really good. One thing to note when you guys make this, you want to let this sit for about 8 or 10 minutes after you take it out of the oven. What that's going to do is that's going to let everything, all the juices reabsorb back into the meat. You really want to do this with any meat you cook. You want to let it rest for a little bit. So that's what we've done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a big little slice of this, and we're going to see if the smell, or pardon me, if the taste is as good as the smell. So when we come back, we'll go in for that big bite. All right, now, moment of truth, that big bite. You can see we ended up with there. We've got our wonderful meatloaf, having a side of a spinach salad, pairs well with that. Also, mashed potatoes would do well, but I feel like that the meatloaf's got a lot of, you got those breadcrumbs in there. It's almost like you've got your side in there too, so I think that the salad will pair well with that. So let's dive in here and see what we ended up with. Yeah, it's just so good. Let's go in for another bite. I gotta go in for a quick one, huh? That was just too good. Okay, so the glaze works really well. There's kind of a sweet, but you got that spice from the Tabasco. You've got the savoriness of the meatloaf. It's really good. It's really tasty. This is gonna make great leftovers. Like I said earlier, sandwiches tomorrow. So really happy with this recipe. Hope you all try it out. Let me know what you think. And until next time, like I always say, if you're not already, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. I'd appreciate that. Hit that like button. That also helps. And then get those notifications. So as always, guys, thanks again for joining me. Looking forward to seeing you next time.